I think Games Workshop is just doing the same thing that the Orcs are doing, which is essentially heavy manifesting. They are manifesting that the players are willing to spend the money on the Orcs, and so they price them really high. And I think it's working, actually. Hi guys, so this is my first PancreasNoWork video. This channel was recommended to me under one of my Bricky Warhammer reactions, and I found that there's a lot of videos that I'm actually interested in. But of course I had to pick up the Orc video first because I am very fascinated by Orcs, as you guys know. So let's watch this one first, and you guys can recommend more videos that are good on this channel and I can check them out.
Oh boy, I sure do love playing factions like the Eldar, Tau, or the Imperium. There's nothing quite like sacrificing yourself for a cause greater than yourself in the name of a pointless war that will never truly end. But hang on a minute, there's something missing from this war game of mine. Something crucial to any game. But what is it? Alright. Fun. I like just about every faction in Warhammer to some extent, but you know what almost all of them are missing? A sense of fun. None of them know how to enjoy themselves.
That's what I said! When I was watching the Bricky videos, everyone just seems depressed and sad. The Orcs are just having a good time, and that's why I like them. They're like, yeah, war fun!
You'd think someone would figure out that they may as well live a little, but no. You'll get one or two people who might have heard of a smile, and that's about it. With one exception. One faction knows what fun means. One glorious faction who are fully aware of the world they live in and wouldn't ask for it any differently. So when you roll up to your friendly local game store, do you want to imagine your little plastic dudes having the time of their lives
Hell
as they
yeah.
look through the heavy metal album cover that is 40k? And you, my friend, you want the Orcs.
Yes!
The Orcs are a group of mushrooms that are so goddamn stupid they warp reality around them. Created millions of years ago by the older ones to fight the Necrons, these creatures known as the Orcs at the time were fucking monsters. Their smallest warriors were the size of dreadnoughts, but over time they degraded because they had no worthy enemies to keep them at their A-game. The Necrons had a case of the Mondays and decided to sleep it off for 65 million years, and the Eldar toggled God mode every time the Orcs tried to fight them. No worthy and proper fights equals less and less Orcs until you get the lovably stupid football hooligans we have now. But even in the 41st millennia, these green giants are still made for fighting and winning. While the other armies fight for pansy reasons like the glory of the God Emperor, galactic peace, and not being raped for all eternity, the Orcs fight just because it's so fucking fun. So with all the background you need to know out of the way, why don't we explore some lore reasons you want to play Orcs? We'll buckle up, because there's plenty of reasons. You know what the Orcs will never run out of? Orcs. Aside from the Tyranids, there's more Orcs than any other race. The trillion-strong Imperial Guard might seem mighty until they look at the horizon and notice that all that green they're seeing isn't grass. It's angry mushroom people.
It's spores!
So if you lose a game as the Orcs, it doesn't matter. There's always more. And they're mushrooms. Do you know what happens when an Orc army gets killed by melee weapons or anything that isn't flamethrowers?
So basically, if a melee weapon and an Orc love each other very much...
They all grow back in a few months from spores. I mean, yeah, technically if the enemy uses flamer weapons, then there won't be anything left to grow into more Orcs, but this is 40k. There's like 1,000 people in the galaxy that are smart enough to know that, and all of them are the salamanders. So when the Orcs lose a fight, not only will more be around to get revenge, the ones you just killed are gonna grow into more Orcs. That's right. By fighting Orcs, you're technically having sex with them. How the fuck did I write that? Now I'm gonna have nightmares about giant green cock. And speaking
No, I said the same thing, technically. We're on the same wavelength here.
of Orcs losing, they have the absolute best attitudes towards warfare. If they win, then they won. Congrats boys, we did it. But if you lose, well, if you died, you still had fun, so it doesn't count. And if you run away, you can still come back to have a proper fight another day, so it's like you still won.
That's me! Whenever I play any competitive games, or any game really, I'm like, well, you know, it was about the journey, it was about the fun we had.
Right. You can never be defeated, because you're not fighting for some grand cause. You're just fighting to fight. And while some people may say the Orcs are dumb, this manifests in an entirely different way to other dumb armies. See, Khorne armies, for example, are dumb in a pathetic way. Their sugar daddy on his shitty skull throne said magic is for cringe idiots, and so they can't shoot lightning. But he also knows that if he doesn't help his brain damaged followers by cheating, they won't win any battles, so him and GW give Khornates bullshit strength and toughness to counteract their pathetic brains. But the Orcs, they take their stupidity and weaponize it. They're so goddamn dumb that their racial stupidity combines into a field of deadly idiocy. They believe red goes faster, and they're so stupid that they wrap around to being smart and altering reality enemy to make red things indeed go faster. Not only do they use magic, it's stupid people magic. The average Cornate fan cries when he gets blasted by lightning and his god calls him a pussy for getting electrocuted. The average Gork and Mork appreciator simply thinks it would be cool if his gods could step on the enemy, and so it becomes reality and a great greenfoot smashes a titan flat. Speaking
Hell yeah, dude.
of gods, do you think that the monotheism many other factions have to some extent is stupid and dumb? There's only one god emperor. Chaos followers usually revere one of the gods. Well, the Orcs have that covered too. You have two gods named Gork and Mork. One is brutal yet cunning, while the other is cunning yet brutal. You may wonder why that requires two gods. If so, you clearly don't get Orcs. You see, if you only have one god, who is it supposed to fight?
Hi guys, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you!
Also,
Exactly!
and while this isn't quite a lore reason, Orcs are one of the factions that have gotten a lot of attention from Games Workshop lately. New units have been released and the standard box of boys has been redone. It makes me cry as an Eldar player seeing other Xenos get the attention, but it's still awesome nonetheless, I can't admit. Lastly, their names and equipment for everything are just so fun. The standard Orc soldiers are the boys. They call their melee weapons choppas and ranged weapons shootas or sluggas. Their jump pack infantry have Looney Tunes rockets strapped to their backs. They're just fun. Nothing more to it. How about some rule reasons? Well, that numbers advantage they have in lore translate to rules too. The average orc boy is pretty goddamn cheap, to the point that multiple units over 20 is entirely possible, with plenty left over for bigger toys and larger point value games. Want to draw on your enemy in a green tide? You can. Easily. Their models are also pretty tough. The average orc boy is reasonably resistant to Bolter Fire or other faction equivalents. Not totally resistant, but resistant enough to the point that you aren't going to have your entire army shredded in 2 turns as long as you don't make some really stupid mistakes. While some models like Wretched are pathetic, the point of those models is to die so the other ones don't, so it's kind of a moot point. Do you like shooting? Do you like filling the air until there's more bullet than oxygen?
Yeah!
Well, then you're going to love the Orcs. The green bastards love shooting volley after volley of fire. This means it doesn't matter if you roll a 1 on half of the dice rolls you make. When you average 100 shots per turn, you're gonna hit something eventually.
Hell
and
yeah.
because these are orc weapons, not some shitty lasgun, whatever you hit is gonna feel it. Finally, the main orky character, Gazgul Mag Uruk Thrak, Margaret Thatcher, the one true prophet and leader of the Orcs, is the only Xeno character to truly resemble a Primarch in both lore and stats. The Phoenix Lords are equivalent in lore, but in rules, the Primarch is going to be winning, as hard as it is for me to admit that. The Silent King is on a vehicle, so that doesn't count for rules because he's cheating, and in lore, he's like if the Emperor was ignored by 80% of the Imperium, so he's not even on Primarch level. But when Gazgul is around, every boy in the secta is gonna listen to him, and you better hope Gilliman is around to help stop Gazi when he shows up, because otherwise no one is stopping this rape train on the battlefield. But let's say you hate fun because you have the Imperial Aquila jammed so far up your ass you could be the world's holiest scarecrow. Why wouldn't you pick the Orcs? Well, for lore, the fact that the Orcs are so goddamn numerous means they are one of the prime candidates to get mowed down like it's fucking D-Day to show how strong a faction is. If not that, then they're usually the foes who are revealed to be only a pale shadow compared to the true threat, which is usually Chaos or Necrons or something like that. So while their lore is kick-ass, they have a lot more defeats than most other people, because killing Orcs doesn't really change the setting, so Games Workshop defaults to Orc genocide whenever they need an enemy to look threatening. The Orcs look threatening, stomp some side characters flat, and then the latest main character they're shilling effortlessly defeats them. Not quite in the same level of the Avatar of Cain, but it's close. Second, you may not like the whole fighting just to fight thing they've got going on. There's no grand purpose to the Orcs. Even Gaskel's big crusade isn't to achieve some grand purpose. It's just a lot more fun when you have every Orc screaming wah at the top of their lungs instead of only a few. So again, if the concept of fun in a game is anathema to you, then don't go with the greenskins. Lastly, they're part of Squad Broken. If you know what that is, then I'm sorry and I hope you can recover from what you suffered through. If you don't know, then I encourage you to read this wonderful story about the hardiness and brutality of the Orcs. Now for rules downsides, those are a lot more understandable reasons to avoid the boys than the
Wait, which story? I don't think I caught that.
lore ones. A few paragraphs ago I said that with dozens if not over 100 shots a turn, you'll hit something eventually. The Orcs don't get all those shots because they're overpowered though. They get them because they need them. While a few of your units have accuracy resembling that of a sniper, for the most part the Orcs are just happy to be shooting and don't really care if they hit anything. Theoretically they'll hit on a 5 or a 6, but between potential psyker buffs and debuffs or any unit auras on your target, just assume you don't roll a 6, you're probably not gonna hit it. Also where your Orcs are tough, they aren't that tough. You can take some punishment, and if you know what you're doing, you can offset it, but if you just blindly charge in machine gun fire, you're going to be taking heavy casualties. And while they aren't that cowardly either, if you start taking heavy losses, you might have some morale issues on your hands. Neither of these are extreme, like your Orcs are to toughness what a Tau is to melee, but you'll need to keep them in mind. Artillery will also be the bane of your existence if you really double down on the greed-tied aspect of the Orcs. 30 boys will crush anything directly in their path, but if your enemy has some halfway decent guns in his backline, just assume you lose half those models the moment he fires. Lastly, because Orcs are a horde army, they require a lot of models, which translates to a major investment in both time and money.
Okay, see, that just convinced me. Well, I don't play the tabletop, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's a very sound argument. That's the first argument that actually matters, because the rest was just about fun, you know? Also, can I just say, these models actually look so freaking sick, too. I didn't know Warhammer... Well, I knew Warhammer figurines can look really badass. I just never seen cars like that.
You can play Orcs with smaller armies of bigger war machines, which is fairly effective, but that being said, for the right and proper Orc experience, you'll be shelling out some dosh, to say the least. So for the love of God, use eBay or something if you don't plan on missing a mortgage payment or 6 if you're going to play the Orcs. It's even worse because unlike other horde armies, the standard infantry box of boys doesn't come with 20 units like the Skaven or Gloomspite gets, or even just the 12 of the Tyranids. It has 10. You'd best be prepared because Gork and Mork require your wallet. So there's the Orcs for you. Some right proper gits who can fill the atmosphere with lead in the name of the great green gods, but it requires some investment and skill to properly use.
I think Games Workshop is just doing the same thing that the Orcs are doing, which is essentially heavy manifesting. They are manifesting that the players are willing to spend the money on the Orcs, and so they price them really high. And I think it's working, actually. Maybe Games Workshop is the true Orc after all this time.
Or not, because in the spirit of Orkiness, it's not about who wins, it's about having fun with the fight. I hope I've once again helped you along on your path in deciding which Warhammer army to throw money and paint at. Thanks for watching and take care.
That was great. I was already convinced that the Orcs are the coolest. I'm even more convinced now. They're the coolest! I will watch a couple more of these, but right now, if I were to pick a faction, my heart is still with the Orcs, you know?